Dakota Randall here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, after the Patriots' 38-3 loss to the Dallas Cowboys. A surprising result to me personally. I thought this was a game the Patriots had a very good chance to win. Instead, it turns out being the single most lopsided loss of the Bill Belichick era. Probably the worst game of Mac Jones' career as well. He had a strip sack that Dallas returned for a touchdown. He had a pick six. He had another interception, and he was benched for Bailey Zappi late in the third quarter. Bill Belichick said after the game that there's not any kind of quarterback controversy moving forward. Mac Jones will continue to be the starter, but this really was a wildly disappointing night for the Patriots quarterback.
Yeah, I think I need to check myself because I've picked the Patriots in each of their first four games. And I felt confident about all four of those picks. And now they're 1-3 for the third straight season. And I think, everybody deserves to be under scrutiny for this. Mac Jones, Bill Belichick, the personnel department for the team that they constructed. It's all around a huge failure right now. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think the reaction to Mac Jones might be a little over the top this week, just because I think you can make the case that, one, this is the worst game of his career, but he really hasn't had that many games where you're like, he was terrible, he's why they lost, he was objectively bad. On the other side of that, he hasn't had many games where you're like, wow, he was excellent in this game, he's why they won. That's kind of the conundrum with Mac Jones. But other quarterbacks have these kind of terrible games, and the reaction isn't as strong. And I think maybe there's some confirmation bias with Patriots fans and Mac Jones. But the reality is, he wasn't good enough tonight. He deserved to be benched, and even though Bill Belichick said he'll start next week, this talking point is back, and it's probably not going to go away.
Yeah, and I think he should continue to be the Patriots' starting quarterback, because through their first three games, I don't think he played bad. I think he actually played reasonably well. He was certainly not the reason for their uninspiring start to the season, but it just looked today with, I don't know if he was trying to do too much, if he was just making ill-advised mistakes, especially on the pick six. That's a throw that from the press box you could see a mile away. The cornerback Deron Bland just kind of sitting there and waiting for him to throw that pass. His second interception was on a similar play, so certainly is not inspiring a lot of confidence in New England right now. And if there are more performances like this, then maybe you do see Bill Belichick make a change at some point. But over on the defensive side, for a 38-3 game, this actually was not a terrible performance by the Patriots defense. They only allowed 2 touchdowns, one of them coming basically in garbage time. Played pretty well in the red zone for most of the game. But they did lose probably their 2 best defensive players to injury. Christian Gonzalez, rookie cornerback, just coming off a Defensive Rookie of the Month award. He left the game in the first quarter, and then later in the second half, Matthew Judon left the game with what was reported to be a severe biceps injury. I asked Dietrich Wise after the game about the magnitude of losing Judon, and he didn't sugarcoat it. He said it's devastating, and I agree. I mean, you're looking at your top 2 defensive players. We don't have a word yet on Gonzalez, but probably going to be without them, at least for some time. It's really hard to see the Patriots defense withstanding these.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I think Judon is their best player, right? And you lose your best player, that's devastating, of course. However, I think they have a better chance of adapting and sort of withstanding the loss of Judon than they do Christian Gonzalez, just because I think the Patriots have a lot of talented young pass rushers. I think they scheme up pass rush very well. They'll be worse, and there's no doubt about it, but I think they're going to struggle to replace Christian Gonzalez if he's missing any significant amount of time. He's already probably their best boundary cornerback. They're already down their other 3 top corners. So that position is in dire straits right now. We have no idea when Jack Jones is going to come back. Sounds like it might be more midseason. Marcus Jones might be gone for the season. We don't know what's going on with Jonathan Jones. So, yeah, I think of the 2, they're both bad, but I think the Christian Gonzalez injury is one that might hurt them even more than Judon.
Yeah, Patriots played most of this game with Miles Bryant and Sean Wade as their 2 boundary cornerbacks. Neither of those are somebody that you want playing in that role 100% of the time. So it is going to be imperative for the Patriots to, at the very least, get Jonathan Jones back in the near future, because it's hard to play the kind of defense you need to play when you're missing your top 4 cornerbacks. So Patriots now 1-3 on the season. They've got some winnable games coming up. They host the Saints next week. They go to Las Vegas the week after that. Then they've got a tough back-to-back against Buffalo and Miami. They've been 1-3 in each of the last 3 seasons. One of those they came back and made the playoffs. In all 3 of them, they were at least kind of in the mix at the end of the year. But is your feeling different now? Is this a Patriots team that even after this start still can at least challenge for a playoff spot? Or do you think this is kind of brink of disaster mode?
A little bit of both, honestly, but just because I think the last 2 times the Patriots lost their 4th game to go in 1-3, you could kind of craft the moral victory argument. The first one, losing to Tom Brady in a game they probably should have won. You left that game feeling good about Mac Jones. And then last year, they almost won in overtime against the Packers with Bailey Zappi. So you could squint and see some hope. But this game, I think we all looked at this and said this is an opportunity for them to make a statement and show that they are as good as we think they can be. Instead, you have the worst loss, I think, since the Buffalo Bills playoff loss a couple years ago, and I think there are some parallels there. After that game a couple years ago, Bill Belichick said, is this a one-off? Is this one bad night? Or is this who we are? And I think you have to ask similar questions after this game. And I think, the Patriots aren't as bad as they played tonight, but at the end of the day, you're 1-3 for the 3rd straight season, and you don't really have a good win against a good team, a really good team, since Tom Brady left. So at some point, I think you have to acknowledge this is who they are, average to maybe a little worse than that.
You are what your record says you are. Both Bill Belichick and several prominent Patriots players after the game said, we're a better team than this. We're not a team we're not the team that we showed on this field here today. But again, they're going to have to start proving that, or else their season is going to spiral out of control very quickly. That'll do it for us from AT&T Stadium. Again, the Patriots will be back home next Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. It's the New Orleans Saints.
PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.